we talked about the global positioning system, so now we'll switch to some other GNSS, mainly GLONASS and Galileo, because these are by definition GNSS, while other countries usually develop local navigation satellite systems, such as in Beidou in China and so on. GLONASS, it's the Russian system. It stands for Globalnaya Navigationnaya Sputnikovaya Sistema, which basically means Global Navigation Satellite System. So actually this term comes from the USSR system. It was developed since 1976 to 1995. It fell into disrepair because of the collapse of Russian economics, and in 2001 its restoration began. So its purpose, as for the GPS, was to replace an older system which was not real-time with poor accuracy. First, it was of course for war application, ballistic missiles guidance. And the Cicada cyclone system was not okay for that. The orbital characteristics of the space segment is to rely, like the GPS, on 24 satellites, 21 for transmission and 3 for spare, which are not on 6 but on 3 orbital planes every 120 degrees, with 8 satellites each. The altitude is a bit lower than the GPS constellation, so 19,100 kilometers, and therefore the orbital period is 11 hours and a quarter, because it's slower than the GPS. The orbital period is shorter. You know that the lower you get, the faster you have to rotate around Earth if you do not want to lose your altitude. Each plane has a 15-degree latitude displacement, so that one satellite at a time crosses the equator. And with the full constellation, you have at least 5 satellites everywhere. Satellites are identified by a slot number, which defines some of their frequencies in the previous transmission scheme of the GLONASS system. So the GLONASS coverage in 2012 was almost complete, and today it's fully operational. There are 2 signals, the standard precision for everyone and high precision only for the Russian army. The standard precision signal uses one code with different frequencies at the beginning of the system, and now it's the same coded signal than the GPS. So these are not up to date given the current scheme. So the satellites are of Uragen type, with 4 generations launched. The ground control is in Moscow, located in the former USSR, and telemetry and tracking stations are a bit everywhere in the Russian Federation. Receiver compatible are now widely available, so it started with Garmin, Xiaomi, Sony, ZTE, Huawei, Samsung S3, Apple iPhone 4 and 5, HTC, LG, Nokia, Motorola. So it was 5 years ago, so every actual phone will be able to use GLONASS. In 2009, 20 satellites were operational, and now 24. So it was decided in the 60s that this system was to be developed, So in 1970, the requirements were frozen. So the Russian scientists knew what to do. In December 1976, the plan for developing GLONASS was finished, and from 82 to 91, the USSR launched 43 GLONASS satellites plus 5 test satellites. But in 1991, only 12 satellites were operational for a limited usage, and it was consequent to the USSR collapse and its economy collapse. So GLONASS was undertaken by the Russian Federation, which declared it operational in 1994. The constellation was completed in 1995, but Russia was not able to maintain the system until 2001. In 2002, only 8 satellites were available, so the system was useless. In 2001, a special program was started to restore the system by deploying 24 new satellites, and the goal was achieved in 2011. So there was a cooperation with the Indian government to speed the satellite launch. So Russia and India share the development costs for the GLONASS-K satellites, and India obtained the high precision signal. By discussions with the USA, who feared that there would be interference and economic competition between both systems, they managed to convince Russia to change the GLONASS multiplexing scheme from FDMA to CDMA and to be compatible with the GPS signals. So in 2007, Vladimir Putin signed a decree to open the access to the GLONASS system to civilian navigation signals to Russian foreign consumers, without any fee and without limitation. He directed the Federal Space Agency to maintain, develop and enable GLONASS to civilian and commercial needs. And as a demonstration to show how GLONASS could be used in cattle monitoring, he acquired a GLONASS-enabled collar for his black Labrador. Now let's talk about Galileo. It's the European GNSS, which is still under development. Well, not development, but under deployment. Decision was taken in 2001. An organization was dedicated to Galileo under both private and public funds, with lots of administrations, which I think explain why Galileo is being very late. So shortly, the dependency from the GPS and its various restrictions in terms of accuracy, reliability, continuity in some locations, or continuity for political reasons, led the European Union to decide to make its own system. So the key points that differentiate Galileo from GLONASS or the GPS, for instance, is to be under a civilian control, so as opposed to GPS and GLONASS, who are managed and dedicated to military use. There are two entities that supervise the system, which are the European Union and the European Space Agency. And under the European Satellite Navigation Industries, which was formerly Galileo Industries, GAIN, this system has been designed, developed, and now is being deployed. So ESNIS was created in 2003, based in Brussels, in Belgium. But it was a failure because a lot of partners also are competitors. So everyone wanted to push its own product. Every administration wanted to push its own point of view given its target applications and so on. So since the end of 2007, the project is under direct funding from the ESA, which stated that this project required and generated from 15 to 20,000 jobs for the development and 2,000 jobs for the maintenance. Where it becomes a bit more specific is for the signals and the services provided by Galileo. There are 10 signals, and 6 are used for free services, 2 for commercial service, 2 for public regulated service, and used for 5 different services with 5 different quality of service. First is the open service. It is the counterpart for the current civilian GPS used, with 2 frequencies. Using both frequencies, you have an accuracy which is less than 4 meter errors horizontally and less than 8 meter errors vertically. And using only one, it's 5 and 35 meters. So first we see where the bad vertical accuracy of the GPS comes from. Only one frequency for the civilian use. So it's similar to the GPS civilian accuracies in that it has no integrity. Then there is a commercial service which has a cost, a fee to pay to Galileo provider, with numerous services, the guarantee of service, integrity, signal continuity, and encrypted data broadcast through 2 signals. With combining the open service frequencies plus third frequency, the accuracy is less than 1 meter error. And with DGPS ground signals, you have an accuracy less than 10 centimeters. Then there is the safety of life service, which is certified for safety of life and secure. For instance, for airport precision approach, and used for services critical for life. Then the public regulated service is for public services that require high accuracy, signal quality, and transmission reliability. For example, emergency services, hazardous material transport. So for instance, nuclear waste transport must be tracked with a very strong positioning system and a very reliable positioning system. There are 2 encrypted signals that prevent malicious signals and jamming. So you cannot fake satellites that would deroute a convoy, for instance, nor jam it to have it stop and find its route again. The 5th service is the search and rescue service, which is based on COSPAS SARSAT beacons, which allows to locate all the beacons and acknowledge distress signals. The COSPAS SARSAT is the worldwide search and rescue system, which is based on the old Argos beacons. There is a strong relationship between IGNOS and Galileo because IGNOS is the first European global navigation system It was a way to start gaining skills and people trained with for GNSS deployment and design, and it can improve GPS and GLONASS, and it will work with Galileo. There are two consortiums to build Galileo satellites: INAVSat, composed of EADS, Thales and Inmarsat, and EURLE, composed of Alcatel, Finmeccanica, AINA and Hispasat. The investment estimation of the system is 3.4 billion euro. The annual cost with operating and maintenance is evaluated to 220 million euro. Initially, it would be 1/3 from public entities and 2/3 from INAVSat and EURLE, since there were rivalry between partners and at least a 5 years delay. It is now 100% funded by public entities, so mainly European Union and European Space Agency. It's interesting to see that for cooperation, the USA tried first to cancel the project because, again, they feared that someone would use it against them. They did not want the EU to be independent in terms of GNSS, and they feared potential interferences issues with GPS. So finally they accepted the project and participated in Galileo with an agreement. They provide the GPS military code with when civilian signals are disabled for any reason, in exchange for the public regulated system of Galileo if we disable the open service. There are many application fields, so for civilian domain, commercial navigation, aviation, anything you can think of relying on global position. And for the military, it's under discussion, since Galileo is a civilian program under civilian control. But since the public regulated service is used by firemen and police, why not by the armies? And I think it will be the outcome of these discussions, since it's better to use a public civilian program for our own military forces than to rely on the systems, GPS or GLONASS, that might one day be managed by someone who we are enemy with. Galileo is composed of 4 segments: space segments, ground control segments, ground mission segment, and the user test segment. The space segment is composed of 30 satellites on 3 orbits at an altitude of 23,616 kilometers. Each satellite weighs 700 kilograms, has 1.5 kilowatt solar panels, several atomic clocks, and a radio transmitter and receiver. The ground control segment is in charge of the satellite control. It's composed of 5 control centers in Europe and 5 control stations for satellites to command and measure the satellites. The ground mission segment is processing all of this to create the message broadcast by the satellites, alert users when there are anomalies in the satellites, and make performance measurements. It's composed of 3 mission centers, which are co-located with the control stations, 10 to 12 uplink stations, and 40 worldwide monitor stations. The user test segment is used for real-time validation of Galileo, and now we can use some Galileo satellites, since it's compatible with GPS and GLONASS, with our smartphones. So this ends this lecture about GNSS, so mainly the GPS, because it's the first system to be fully operational and we know a lot of things about it. We also saw how other global powers are developing their own systems. So GLONASS for Russia, Galileo for the European Union. Also, India and China are developing their systems, but they're not, in the short term, they're not aiming at having global systems. So in China there is Beidou, but it's more like IGNOS in Europe than the Galileo, the GPS. And we also saw how the global operations of such systems, in how they get signals, measure time, measure distance, and then compute the location.